VSiN to receive 25% off all rates and packages. Again, use promo code VSIN and receive 25% off all rates and packages at reveregolf.com. It is our match play segment, the time of the show where we get to our plays for the event on tour this week, and that is the RBC Heritage at the Sea Pines Resort, Hilton Head, South Carolina. And we'll first start with Matt Youmans' plays. He calls these in to us, lets us know what he's on. We put them up there on the graphic for you, for those of you that are viewing. And again, Matt Youmans, his futures for the week. Do you have those up there, Nick? Here we go. Bryson DeChambeau, the second week in a row, he is on the man we call the Incredible Hulk, or Neck. Xander Schauffele at 22-1, the second week in a row. Matt is on Xander. This is a guy he plays nearly every week, one of his favorite players, and no shame in backing him. Matt Kuchar at 53-1, has won here before at Hilton Head, is a great fit for this golf course, as is Kevin Kistner, who Youmans is also on at 66-1. And then finally, one matchup for Matt was Sungjae Im at plus 115 over Colin Morikawa. So Youmans in fade mode of Morikawa after his near miss last week at Colonial. And then finally a top 10 finish on Justin Thomas at plus 175. That looks like a pretty good bet to me. Wes?
Yeah, I can't really argue with any of those. And in fact, I personally have two of those plays on my sheet this week. So Youmans, he faded Morikawa here. I kind of went in one of my matchups. I went against Berger, and that's not to disrespect him, but to see Berger as the dog to Matt Kuchar in that matchup, that led me to Matt Kuchar. So my plays that I made this week, I started my lowest price with Sungjae Im at 30-1. Missed the cut at Colonial last year, but then finished 10th last week, and he missed the cut here at RBC last year, but I think he's going to rebound. Last week at Colonial, he was only one of 7 players in the field to have positive strokes gained in all 5 areas. And that's putting, off the tee, approach, around the green, and tee to green.
That's impressive.
3 straight top 10s, including a win at the Honda and including a third at the Arnold Palmer in Orlando. This is a guy, I just think maybe he was a little freaked out by the fact that he couldn't play golf because he plays darn near every week. He plays like 35 events a year. He's kind of like the modern day VJ Singh, because VJ would play all the time. So maybe a little bit of rust last week, and I think he'll like this setup here. Matt Kuchar, 53-1. He was a big disappointment last week, even though his putting was very good. His irons were rusty, but this is a home game for Kuchar. He lives 2 hours away in St. Simon's Island. More rounds logged in this event than anyone in the field. So course experience may apply. This could be a
little bit of a Spieth angle, right?
Yeah,
like last week.
This could be a place to get right for Kuch. Brandon Grace was in contention over the weekend at Colonial. Shot 66 3 straight times before a 73 on Sunday, T19. But former winner here in 2016. Got back in the winner's circle starting 2020 back in his homeland of South Africa with a win. First time since late 2017. I think he will definitely like this, and it's a familiar place where he's won. Matt Fitzpatrick. He's been Mr. Consistency. He hasn't won a lot recently, but he's made 30 of his last 31 cuts worldwide, dating back to last year at Pebble Beach. In that span, 5 runner-up finishes, including at the Arnold Palmer in 2019. Very consistent ball striker, not a very big hitter, but I think he'll like this setup. He shot all 4 rounds in the 60s last week, despite finishing T32, 8th in the field strokes gained putting. Kevin Kistner from Aiken, South Carolina. So kind of a local event for him. He lost the playoff here back in 2015 to Jim Furyk. Loves Pete Dye courses.
Yes, he
First
does.
and second the last 2 times at the Austin Country Club for the Dell Match Play. Also made the playoff in 2015 at the Players at Sawgrass. So that's a guy I know Ryan Brickley liked as well. So mention him. JT Poston, a guy I also mentioned on the Numbers Game segment on Monday. From Hickory, North Carolina, lives in St. Simon's Island, 2 hours south of Hilton Head. T10 last week at Colonial against a really good field, was second in scrambling. Scrambling is going to be very important this week, by the way. 5th in stroke gained off the tee, 5th in driving accuracy, 8th in around the green, 14th in GIR. Really good numbers. Also last year with Poston, he was on the wrong side of the Thursday-Friday draw last year. He was in the very windy conditions where he barely made the cut. Finished T6. He shot 9 under on the weekend, 67, 66, 2 shots better than the entire field. So this is a guy, and he has his one win in the Carolinas, won the Wyndham last August in Greensboro. He's familiar with this territory. And then real quickly, 200-1 shots I took, Ian Poulter and Harris English. Last time English played a Pete Dye course, he shot 65 in the first round of the Players Championship before it was canceled due to the COVID-19. So this is a guy that was in good form. He had a really good second round last week, but missed the cut by a shot. Just got off to a bad start. I think he's worth another stab here, as is Ian Poulter, who off the tee is probably the weakness part of his game, but I think it can be mitigated here.
And your matchups there, you've got Reed over Spieth. That was another one Ryan Brickley liked. Kuchar over Daniel Berger, you mentioned, and then Joel Damon over Jason Day. And Brickley also mentioned that Jason Day was a guy he was going to be looking to fade this week. And I can tell you that's one of my plays as well. Joel Damon at -110 over Jason Day. Day was actually a slight favorite in that matchup at the board I was looking at. The other matchup I like is Gary Woodland at +115 over Hideki Matsuyama. I just thought that was priced wrong. Matsuyama, we haven't seen him since he led after the first round of the Players' Championship. He has not played here at Hilton Head in a long time, nor has Woodland. But I thought Gary Woodland looked very good last week. Really, the only thing that eluded him was his putter. It was a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and putting can get hot and cold. And if Gary Woodland happens to get hot with the putter this week, everything else about his game should be just fine. I like that underdog price of +115 there. And then Rafa Cabrera Bello over Benny On. Cabrera Bello, a slight underdog in this one. Played pretty darn well at Colonial last week. He had the driver going very accurately. He's always had a good short game. Just finally got off track with his accuracy off the tee on the final round on Sunday. If he gets that back in order, he ought to have another good week here at Hilton Head. Again, I think a course that sets up similarly for a player like Cabrera Bello. As far as the futures, I went back to the well with Woodland as well. Got this one really early at circa at 48-1. I thought that was way too high of a price. It has come down. Kistner, I did the same thing. Got him early at 72-1. Billy Horschel loves to play hard tracks. Great putter on Bermuda greens. Had a real steady week last week at Colonial. Got him at 80. Jason Kokrak had a nice week last week. Ended up finishing third. He's done well here in the past at Hilton Head. Has Kokrak, has a lot of greens and fairways he hit last week, and has 4 top 20 finishes here at Harbortown. Rory Sabatini, I'm back on JT Poston with you as well, Wes, for the same reasons that you mentioned. But Rory Sabatini, I'm going back to the well with him. Had him at 200-1 last week at Colonial. Also put him in play for a top 20 finish. He was able to cash that. Very similar to Jason Kokrak. He hit a lot of fairways and greens. He was steady last week, and here's another course where he's got a ton of experience. He's had 4 top 10s in his career at Harbortown. Took 10th last year, 125-1. Again, a very big number, I thought, on Sabatini. Finally, Jim Furyk at 175. He's won here twice. He's just a machine. He's number 1 on tour in driving accuracy and greens in regulation. That's a good recipe this week. And then Maverick McNeely for my long shot.
I looked at him as well.
The Stanford Cardinal, who had a very good week at Colonial last week. He's got a fantastic short game, pretty accurate off the tee, has not played Hilton Head before. That's the part that scares me, but if he can find the fairways, the short game ought to do the rest. 200-1's a big number.
One thing I want to add, because I know that we don't cover the DFS angle, the daily fantasy angle, very often on this show, since it's not really available to us in Nevada, but a lot of those bombs that you have, and we saw it last week with Sabatini at Colonial, the Sabatinis, the Furyks, the McNeelys, those are very good plays on like DraftKings. If you're doing a DraftKings Millie Maker or some kind of contest where they're going to be lower salaried guys that are going to get high quality finishes, even if they don't win on the futures board, these are guys that you're going to pick up a lot of points with if they get top 10s, top 15s. So definitely, I think, angles you want to look there, especially with those triple-digit shots that you have there, Brady.
I think that's a great point, and I also did add Furyk and McNeely for top 20 finishes. Furyk at 5-1 to finish top 20, and McNeely at 6-1 to finish top 20. Sabatini I had last week to finish top 20 at 6-1, and that one came through. He shot a really nice round on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think all those plays make sense. Furyk is a guy that has success here, has won here twice. Rory Sabatini has been in contention here. So you're getting a lot of guys that I think definitely fit that course, and that's a really good price on Gary Woodland, who, other than Morikawa, looked the best with the irons last weekend.
I thought this week it's a little bit more difficult course than Colonial, and we saw how the cream really rose to the top last week. The top players in the world were right there, and Brickley alluded to it. The 3 last years at Hilton Head where we've had long shots come through, I think maybe you're not going to get necessarily a marquee name at the top of the leaderboard this week.
Last 3 years, it's been 260 to 1. Satoshi Kodaira was like 200 to 1. So Bombs do win here.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for another edition of Long Shots. Next week, the Travelers Championship from River Highlands in Cromwell, Connecticut. Our friend of the program, Chris Falica, will join us to preview the tournament. We'll be back for more of Long Shots right here on VSiN and VSiN.com, the sports betting network.
New to VSiN, the best way to learn more about sports betting and how VSiN can help you is to sign up for our free daily email. You'll receive an email every morning with show highlights and expert insights. Sign up for free today at vsin.com/email. That's vsin.com/email.
VSiN, the sports betting network, has more ways than ever for you to connect with us. Introducing the VSiN lineup of podcasts. We've